Hello and welcome. Today let's explore the topic TDS on cash withdrawals from banks. First, let's see what's TDS. TDS is tax deducted at source. A person, also known as deductor, who is liable to make payment of specified nature to any other person, deductee, shall deduct tax at source and remit the same into the account of the central government. Let's say you withdraw cash from your bank. Here, the deductor is the bank paying cash and you are the deductee, that is the person withdrawing the cash. Here, the bank would deduct tax at source under section 194N of Income Tax Act on such cash withdrawals. This TDS is not an expense for you. We'll shortly understand why I say so. Not all cash withdrawals are in the ambit of TDS. We'll now see in what situations will this tax be deducted. Let's group it into two categories. First, those who file income tax return. Second, those who don't file their income tax return. If you fall in the first category, that is, if you file your income tax return, then TDS would be applicable on withdrawal of cash over Rs 100 lakh in a year. But if you fall in the second category, that is, if you don't file your ITR, then this limit would be only 20 lakh. This 100 lakh limit for the first category, that is those who file income tax return, would be applicable only when income tax return is filed for all or any of the last 3 years. Similarly, threshold limit of 20 lakh is applicable for second category only when ITR is not filed for last 3 years. Here 3 years means the years for which the due date for filing ITR is over. TDS is applicable not just on withdrawals from any bank, be it private or nationalized bank, but also on cash withdrawn from cooperative societies or post office once the threshold limit is crossed. That said, there are some exemptions to take note of. That is, in some situations, TDS would not be applicable on cash withdrawals. Let's now see what are those. TDS is not applicable when withdrawals are made by central or state government, private or public sector banks, post office, business correspondents of any bank, white label ATM operators, commission agents or traders of APMC when making payments to farmers, authorized dealers, agents, sub-agents and full-fledged money changers. TDS is not applicable for these categories. So far we have understood the concept of TDS and its exemptions. Let's now find out how much tax would be deducted once the threshold limit is crossed. First, for those who file their income tax return, threshold limit is 100 lakh. So if cash withdrawal in a year is more than 100 lakh, then rate of TDS would be 2%. Second category, that is those who don't file their ITR. Threshold limit here is up to 20 lakh. If the cash withdrawal in a year is more than 20 lakh, but it is up to 100 lakh, then rate of TDS would be 2%. For cash withdrawals over 100 lakh, rate of TDS would be 5%. This 2% or 5% TDS that I have said, this is applicable on the value to the extent it exceeds the threshold limit. Let's say you regularly file your ITR. So threshold limit for you would be 100 lakh. Let's assume you have withdrawn cash of 105 lakh in a year. So TDS at 2% would be applicable on 5 lakh and not on 105 lakh. If it's hard to remember these rates and threshold limits, then there is an easy way out. You can get this info online using the TDS on cash withdrawals functionality on the IT portal. We'll shortly see how to use this functionality. All you need is PAN and your mobile phone number. If you have PAN, you can get this info for any person. Let's now see how to use this functionality. Navigate to the IT portal, click on TDS on cash withdrawal. You will be navigated to this screen. Enter the PAN of the person, key in your mobile phone number and click on continue. A one-time password would be sent to your phone. Enter the OTP and click on continue. If the person has filed ITR, you would get this message. But if the person has not filed ITR for last 3 years, then this message would be displayed. So, using this functionality, you can easily check the status of any person if you have PAN. If you may recall, earlier I said TDS is not an expense. Let's see why I said so. Let's say you regularly file your income tax return and you have withdrawn cash from your bank. Let's assume this to be 105 lakh for a year. So threshold limit in this case would be 100 lakh because income tax return is being filed. So TDS would be applicable at 2% on 5 lakh, that is 10,000 here. This TDS of 10,000 can be claimed as refund when you file your income tax return, or this TDS can be adjusted against any tax liability that you may have. That's why TDS is not an expense. Let's now see 4 key takeaways. If you regularly file your income tax return, then the threshold limit would be 100 lakh. But for those who do not file ITR, this limit is reduced to 20 lakh. So don't miss to file your ITR even if you have no taxable income. Second would be TDS is applicable even when you withdraw from different accounts with the same bank. Let's say you have withdrawn cash from your savings account and it is 50 lakh, and from the current account in the same bank you have withdrawn 60 lakh. So total is 110 lakh, TDS would be applicable. Third point would be if you operate accounts with multiple banks, then this threshold limit is separate for each bank. Let's say you have an account with SBI and cash that you have withdrawn for a year is 70 lakh. Let's also assume you have another account with HDFC Bank and you have withdrawn 50 lakh during the year. So total here is 120 lakh. Though the aggregate is more than the threshold limit, yet TDS is not applicable because this threshold limit of 100 lakh is separate for each bank. Fourth and the last would be if the tax is deducted at source under section 194N, that is on the cash that you have withdrawn from your bank, then you can't use ITR1 to file your income tax return. You'll have to use either ITR2 or any other form that is applicable to you. That's all I have for you in this video. Hope this was helpful. If you have enjoyed this episode, you may like and share the video. Thank you for watching.